30 minutes. And Christabel Trevor Success is here with a summary of the news.
Well, in tonight's summaries, a 13-member board of directors for the Ghana Gold Board has been inaugurated. The Minister of Finance, Dr. Kassia Latu-Forson, inaugurated the new board today. The minister described the body as a strategic vehicle for achieving effective currency management and bolstering the country's economic resilience. The Managing Director of Ghana Water Limited, GWL, Adam Muta Wakilu, has clarified that the company did not enter into any contractual agreement with the embattled former Director General of the National Signals Bureau, Kwabena Edubuahene, but rather with Ghana's national security apparatus. Mr. Muta Wakilu confirmed that GWL had been paying 1.3 million Ghana cedis every month since 2018 for secure internet services to what was believed to be legitimate government agency accounts. Two other stories, a minority in Parliament are demanding the immediate publication of Dumso timetable. Ranking member of the Energy Committee, George Kwabena Abuaji, said the previous government prudently invested in the energy sector and has therefore charged the Mahama government to do so to prevent Dumso, which he says is rearing its head again. The Court of Appeal has dismissed an application by Men's Gold CEO Nana Appiah Mensah, also known as Nam1, to halt his High Court trial. This follows a failed attempt to suspend proceedings while awaiting a decision on the appeal against a ruling requiring him to open his defense. Nam1 faces charges including defrauding by false pretenses, breach of trust, and money laundering. To our final story, education think tank EduWatch has slammed the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection for abruptly cancelling all catering contracts under the Ghana School Feeding Program just a day before schools reopen for the third term. The group says the move disrupted meals in several public schools, especially in deprived communities, resulting in reduced student attendance. EduWatch also questioned the government's claim of 4.2 million beneficiaries under the program, citing evidence of declining feeding numbers. Over to you, Alfred.
Christabel, thank you. It's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in One Beyond. Let's get onto it right now. And some news just coming through is that the Narcotics Control Commission on Sunday evening, May 18, intercepted 92 slabs of suspected cannabis weighing 53.6 kilograms at the Kotoka International Airport. According to the Narcotics Control Commission, the substance was being smuggled into Ghana by a British national. The suspect, whose name has been withheld, arrived in Accra aboard Emirates flight EK787 from Thailand via Dubai. During a routine inspection, Narcotics Control Commission operatives stationed at the airport discovered 2 suitcases containing the substance. Further investigation led to the arrest of a customs officer and a worker at the commercially important person, that's CIP section, who are believed to be accomplices. The Deputy Director at the Narcotics Control Commission, Alexander Chumberima, confirmed the development in an interview, which we spoke to him earlier, and he cautioned travelers planning to smuggle illicit drugs to desist and warned security officers who aid such travelers at entry points to refrain or face the full rigors of the law. The trio are currently in custody assisting with investigation. So that's the information that we've got from the Narcotics Control Commission right now, and we're keeping an eye on how things are playing out right there here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. This is the second arrest at the Kotoka International Airport in less than 24 hours at the Kotoka International Airport. So that's information right now. We're keeping an eye on how things are playing out. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W93.5 in One Beyond. The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, is assessing the extent of destruction following Sunday's rainfall that triggered massive flooding in parts of Accra. The rains, which lasted several hours, left in its wake severe damage to properties, with homes submerged and hundreds of residents displaced. It also led to the loss of at least 3 lives so far, including a 5-year-old in the Adenta municipality. Areas including Boteman Stadium, affordable housing, Boteman Township, Little Roses, Lakeside, Nanakrom, Kiseman, Domipilatu, and Christian Village School Junction Maijo, Zoom Lion, University Farms, Trasaco, Third Gate, Legon, Santor, Blue Kiosk, and several other areas were affected. If you go on our Facebook page right now, 3FM927, we're showing you some videos of the flooding that occurred as a result of the over 5 hours rain yesterday evening. Now, a team from NADMO has been touring the affected areas to assess the situation to help determine the sort of support for the victims. Ahmed Rufai Bolas is Deputy Director General of the NADMO in charge of technical inspection. He spoke to 3FM 92.7 earlier today on what they're going to do next after this rather unfortunate development there.
Yesterday, when our men came to the field, they couldn't even identify whether there was even a slab up here. The whole place was full, covered with water. It got to a time when we needed to even bring a boat to this place. So we are advising and suggesting to the assembly that some demolition needs to be done within this community for people to enjoy their livelihood. At the moment, we are now assessing the places. This is not the only place. We are going to Lakeside to very, very serious. So we'll do all our assessment, go and sit down on the drawing board, then we see what to do. For relief items, if they are supposed to be given, definitely we'll give it out.
Well, so that's the Deputy Director General in charge of technical operations at the National Disaster Management Organization, Ahmed Rufai Bolas, in there. Now, our man Christian Yale, who also visited some of the affected neighborhoods, has joined me in the studio reporting of residents in distraught situations after Sunday's devastation. He also visited a mother who lost her 5-year-old daughter to the floods, and Christian is with me in the studio right now. Christian, a very troubling situation as you visited the mother of this deceased. What was the countenance? What did she tell you? Exactly what happened?
And so this was just around midnight when they were trying to seek refuge because the water rose to a level that in their room on the ground floor, they felt it was needed or important for them to go to the first floor or go upstairs. So in the process of climbing the stairs, going upstairs, she slipped, and the daughter, who is currently 4 and will turn 5 years next month, she lost control of her when she slipped from the stairs. And looking at the current of the flood waters, it swept her away, and till date, till now as we speak, they've not been able to locate the body of this child.
And this is where exactly?
Nana Krom within the Adentan municipality. So that adds up to the 3 reported deaths that we have confirmed from the MC. So that is 1 in Nana Krom, and then in Lakeside and in New Legon, we have other 2 reported deaths.
I see. And this 5-year-old, let's just take the death toll one after the other. This 5-year-old, as you talk about, has there been any attempt to, as it were, trace her body and to confirm whether indeed she is deceased?
Exactly, Alfred. So when I engaged the mother, she told me that when it happened in the morning, a number of men went around in search of the body of this girl, but they could not identify or even locate the body. She tells me the husband is not around at the moment, and so she's now managing affairs. And you can imagine someone who is so pained at such a loss. She tells me she has only 2 children, 1 boy, 1 girl. The girl is the youngest, who is now gone. She's lost her to the flood, and so that is the current situation. When we met her, she was in total despair, and words could not really console her, looking at how distraught she was, the pain, the grief that she is bearing, and everything tells of someone who is in a total agony, afraid. So I engaged her earlier, and this is what she told me in her own words. And then day about Francois, then see potting.
Because the almost yes, was from Sanka, Abrus, yes, severe life, say a quabus, baby, a one bear save no, a one in a corner, a collar way pitrena, the soon fat, a collar no so a share in the cheek, and a farm. A collar didn't face this next month, no one enough 5 years.
Next month, no, 5 years. Much me who nemo no baby.
Pacho Debbie, who
Be seen the mo who baby akura nemo.
Pacho Debbie.
Mabo police for money and anadmo for money and be boamo said the bear mobi ho akura baby.
Debbie. Then Pacific. You bump. Oh, move me, let me. But let me. It's just me to be kind because my me. Me bam me no baba baba. Obanu ne we kwa jam say. Dela me to me. Dela me say you tell me I see. Oh, my boy, let me who be banu.
That's a sad account.
Yes, a harrowing story, Alfred, and it's very, very sad. It's very sad. I spoke to a resident, and when you get to Nana Chrome, and as you see, when you come onto Facebook on 3FM 92.7, you see the visuals, a tale of destruction, stores that have lost all items worth thousands.
These are provision shops.
There's a provision shop, yeah.
And I also saw earlier the videos we're showing right now. This is a compound house that has a number of persons in there.
Exactly, and
all of them affected.
People's vehicles have been grounded because the engine filled. The water level filled the engines and everything, and so they cannot even move. There were some cars that have been overturned by the flood waters. There are buildings that have been brought down
by the flood waters. And for Lakeside, there's a lake.
Exactly.
In that area.
And Nana Chrome is not so far from Lakeside.
True.
They're just adjoining communities. So you can imagine the extent of damage that we see. As of now, you see the debris-filled water in a lot of compounds that people are using pumps to sweep them out, which is quite a devastating incident. And when you talk to residents, where to lay their heads, what to eat, is something that they cannot even mention or they cannot even dream of, because per the stories we have heard, those who are residing close to the drain, they had to seek refuge on top of their roofs, including pregnant women. Alfred, this was some of the residents told me earlier when I engaged them.
Okase afibia esisa ehama adentina moda so ate ha, for instance.
This guy by hiding. This guy by hiding.
There is a bridge that channels this water to the other side of the road. Now that bridge is narrow. They have only 2 holes. So whenever the rain is heavy, one hole will block with rubbish and everything. Then the other one is coming a little. So you can see that when the road is blocked, all the water will remain on top. So the whole area will flood. So if they can open that bridge a little bit.
Yesterday around 5 o'clock, I came back from church and I was just relaxing in my room. And then all of a sudden, I heard a sound, boom. By the time I realized the flood, heavy flood, it just entered all the 4 houses in my compound. My dear, I was having a 10-year-old boy with a pregnant woman, 5-year-old boy. All the tenant was just floating on top of the water. The government of Ghana, I hope you are hearing us. Wherever you are, Mahama, we voted for you. We voted for you. Come and rescue us from this harmful disaster. Come and help us. Come and help us.
What has happened, this issue that we are all trying to solve, there's somebody, one particular person creating it after the bridge. 2004 that I bought this place, it was a stream. When it flooded, it doesn't even get to our knees levels. But now, when you go after the bridge, somebody is filling there, selling the land, the waterways, the dam itself, selling it to people. And because of that, when the water is flowing, it backfire, like you go and then, you understand? And all this thing is creating problem for us. And people are sitting idle.
So those are the residents you spoke to, and I want to take the conversation from the gentleman who just ended the conversation, what I just played.
Yeah.
He's talking about a building being put up by someone who is filling the land.
Yes.
Because this place is a flood-prone area.
Yeah.
It's a wetland. They know it.
Yeah.
Someone is filling the land. So where the water is supposed to go through, there's a building being put up there, which has obstructed the flow of the water.
Yeah.
And obviously, water will find its level.
Yeah.
So then, because of the diversion
Yes.
that has been created as a result of this building being put up, that's caused this flooding.
Exactly. So when you get to the roadside and you look at the bridge referred to, or you look at the drainage system itself, which should have been a very straight one, you realize that buildings have been sited all along. And so now the water, and as it were, as nature would demand, has redirected its way. And so the least provocation, it overflows its banks, enters the town, and causes this kind of destruction that we see today and that we're talking about. And Alfred, looking at this, I mean, we've covered flood stories over the years, and you look at this one and you see that the degree of destruction is on a different level altogether. And one question I ask myself really is that, how are these people going to come out of this? Looking at the things destroyed, people's cars, Lexus, Benzes, and the rest of them, that the engines have been destroyed because of the flood waters and the rest of them. How do they come out of this? And again, these same people who are lamenting the sighting of these illegal structures, when you ask them that, have you reported this to the authorities? They tell you that, no, we have not reported them.
They haven't reported it.
Exactly.
Because, would you say, because they know that they've built in these waterways, and as a result, if they report, their buildings will be pulled down.
Exactly.
And so they would rather endure when these things happen this way, then it still goes back to an appeal to government.
To government.
And if government shows up and they want to demolish the buildings because they're in the waterways, then
that brings another story altogether. But I spoke to the Assemblyman, Bright, a young man who, since yesterday when this happened, has not had any rest, who is now like the eye of government, the eye of authorities in Anakro. And this is what he said.
This is the first time such disaster is happening, and it's a calamity to the community. This one is really, really, really over the community. As you can see, the people are they are outraged, they are angry, they are sad. Everything of theirs is actually destroyed to the rain. And Nanbo was here yesterday, but when they weren't able to do much because they didn't have much resources to help the community people. As we speak now, they said they'll be coming back. I don't know what they'll be doing, but they said they'll be coming back to see the situation at hand and how they can help them. But we're also calling on government, the urban areas, and then road and highways to also intervene. So
these are that's the assemblyman you spoke to them.
Exactly.
And Chris, hold on a bit for me, because thankfully we've been joined on the telephone by the deputy, that's the director in charge of inspection at the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Mr. Richard Amoyate. Mr. good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Good evening.
What's been your assessment of the extent of destruction caused by the rains yesterday?
Yeah, good evening to your listeners, and then good evening to my boss, the Director General. Good evening to all NADMO, fire, armed forces, and police who were throughout the night yesterday to save lives. Yeah, our technical teams are on the field as they will put together, they will collect all the information they can, and then the reports will be ready. So for now, we cannot give you a full assessment of the
but have you confirmed the death cases? Because we're being told...
Our information we have, only one person dead. One person dead because he was riding a bicycle and he tried crossing the flood waters and he was swept away. And the body has been retrieved this morning. So that is only...
Where did this happen? This body...
Ghana East. Like I said, our teams are still assessing the situation. So once assessment will give you a full report.
Okay, because we have counted so far about three deaths so far with the areas that we visited. A five-year-old girl who was swept away by the flood waters yesterday in the lakeside estates. that we're spoken to the deceased mother as well. Her body is yet to be even traced and retrieved. So that's one that has been confirmed at least by the mother of the girl.
Did you say the body is yet to be retrieved?
Yes.
So how do you confirm that when there's nobody?
So the mother specifically told us that they dispatched. Mr. Ali, I was hoping that you would have me, finish and then so that you can answer it as well, because earlier I asked the same question about whether there has been any rescue effort so far. She tells us that they tried reaching out to NADMO. They haven't gotten any responses as yet. So she had to dispatch some men in the area to trace where the floodwaters carried her daughter to. So is there any reason why, if there is that, as in, if you got this information of the distress call that her daughter was swept away by the floodwaters, and to date, from what we know, NADMO hasn't responded as yet?
That's what I'm saying. Like you said, no, the one yesterday, the one I have completed yesterday, the person was swept away. But then we didn't have body, we didn't know the situation. So we counted it as missing. But after this morning, the body has been recovered. So death has been confirmed. Yes. So if there's any such information, you share the details. What you want to have for us to.
No, but they are saying that
our technical are in the field. Probably by the proof of this report will.
They said they have reached out to NADMO. As of yesterday, none of your officers have even come to the area as we speak. So it is not as though they haven't reached out to you as yet. As of yesterday, when the incident happened, they immediately reached out to NADMO to get some help. That help is yet to come.
What sort of help? Is it when they were in this?
Exactly, when they were in. When they were.
Did they call? Who did they call? Who did they speak with?
It is your emergency number you put out. That is
what.
What.
That emergency number. So there's a way of cross-check to confirm that indeed call the numbers, and then we'll look at what happened. That's what I'm saying. You can share the details with me. We'll get to the bottom, investigate, and then see what happened. If indeed they called that home and they didn't receive any attention.
We'll share the details with you, but have you deployed any rescue efforts as of yesterday till now?
Yesterday, yes, we rescued 18 people. And then evacuated 44 people, most of whom went home to live to family and friends, and 15 were kept at the zonal office, where they left last night, and then only left for their own space because the water in their area, in the community, has receded.
I see. But the waters have receded, but some of these areas are flood-prone areas. So what is NADMO doing to ensure that beyond the waters receding?
Our technical teams are on the field assessing the situation. So let's wait for them to come back, and then they tell us what the situation is. And then the way forward will be determined.
You know that this is a perennial affair. It's not as if it's new. Every year we experience this.
Every year, and the dynamics, every year, yeah. So it's not always the same, yes.
But this year we are seeing areas where the flooding was not at the magnitude that we're seeing now. And the residents are saying it's because some buildings have been put up in waterways as well. So that's why I asked you a question about what exactly is going on or what has been done ahead of the rains, because you are a disaster management organization. So ahead of the rains setting in this year, what did you do?
Ahead of the rains, we prepared.
What kind of preparation did you put in place?
We educate people, we sensitize people, and then agencies that are responsible for the drains are also contacted, and they are supposed to work on the drains, open up the waterway. That is what happens. And I'm telling you that when the president went round, there were a lot of drainages that were under construction. These are all works which are being done to mitigate flooding. Unfortunately, the works had delayed. So the flood was to be expected. We did what we had to do to rescue people. The deaths that we have recorded, it's also only occurred because whoever suffered that refused to take advice to ride the bicycle as the flood water when people were actually trying to stop from doing so. Because you need terrain, they could do it. It's so unfortunate. So, but that is what happened. So a lot of work has gone in and a lot of work is still being done. But sometimes you are overwhelmed by the nature, by the intensity of the rainfall.
So I asked a specific question about what you did prior to the rain setting in, the kind of preparation you put in place. You say you went around, educated people, and drains were supposed to be expanded. They were not expanded. And it has caused, no, I'm coming. You said the drains were supposed to be expanded. They did not expand them because there are works that are going on that were not completed.
The works are ongoing, but they have not been completed. The works are still ongoing.
But that's what has also contributed. That's what has contributed to the floods, as we see it, because the drains were not expanded, and some of them were choked. So, what if you say preparations were put in place? The preparations were not done, and that's why we're seeing this magnitude of flooding.
What I'm saying is that, are you not, the drainage works are still ongoing. NADMO does not construct drains. NADMO is not responsible for the drains. But then the agencies responsible are working on the drains. So we were prepared to save lives, and then we did save lives yesterday as our mandate directs.
So when you educated people about these flood-prone areas, what did you tell them? To move from the place?
Yeah, they have to move to higher, they have to move to safe havens. Safe havens in all communities. They have to safe havens. And then people move to safe havens. Like I said, yesterday, 44 people were evacuated. 15 were sent to the zona, a better zona office, which is a safe haven. And then they slept there. This morning, when the water receded from their community, they left to their house. So this is, and then others moved, and then those with family and friends. So we did all these things. And then rescued 18 people who were trapped to near-death situation. We rescued them. So
yes, but so if you educated people to move to higher grounds, they didn't move. That's why you went there to rescue them, because they were still in those places, isn't it?
That is the difficulty. You can't forcefully carry his body to a safe haven. But then you cannot say to us that because they didn't move to safe haven, you will allow them to perish. No, we have to save lives. Human beings are very important. One life lost is just too much for us. It's really unfortunate that one person lost their life according to our records. But we work very hard to avoid death.
It is indeed the case that you don't construct drains, but you work with other agencies. Your work is interlinked. And so if one agency doesn't do its work, it affects you as well. And that's why the disaster management architecture or framework is not just about you, NADMO. I know that prior to the rain setting in, there were a number of meetings, engagements, operations teams that were put together with you, NADMO, also represented on these operation teams to assess the extent of work that had to be put in place before the rain set in. So what did you do really to, as it were, prevent what we are seeing now? Because
I don't know whether you just don't know. Are you not aware that there are drainage works all over the place?
No, Mr. Yate, I'm not talking about the work, so I'm talking about what the preparation that was put in place ahead of. I'm not talking about what is being done. What has been done ahead of the rains?
Our drone program is just about to start. Can we talk to some other services? I'm already in the studio, please.
No, would you give us a short answer before you leave us? Hello? Well, that's Richard Amoyate. He's Deputy Director in charge of inspection at NADMO. Well, Engineer Abdullah Muhammad has been listening to him. Well, and he's one person who's been consistent about what NADMO as well has to be doing ahead of the rains, together with other agencies. Because the fundamental question, engineer, is not so much about what is being done, because we know every year there's a perennial situation. This flooding, in fact, a friend of mine pulled up a newspaper article, 1967. We're still talking about floods in the Greater Accra region. So every year we know this is going to happen. And so hearing, for instance, NADMO say that the teams, operation teams and analysis they put in place ahead of the rain setting in, one of the recommendations was that they had to expand drains. They didn't do that. The works are ongoing but have not been completed. And we have seen that these small drains have contributed to this flooding we are talking about today as a result of yesterday's rains. Is it one that is tenable, an explanation, if you hear NADMO say this, Engineer Mama?
Well, good evening to your cherished listeners. I think at the point myself, I'll be so stressed with these interviews. And you just put it rightly in context. In 2022, the Auditor General's report was like there were 18 retention dams that were supposed to be constructed within the capital, and none had started at the time. So we have to find out from the Hydrological Services Authority. In fact, this institution was actually a department, but it was Hydrological Service Department under the Ministry of Works and Housing. Then they campaigned, they claimed that if they become an authority, they will nip these disasters in the bud when they become an authority. So they were, I think 2022 or 21, the law was passed in Parliament. So they are now an authority. So we should be able to ask the authority what they are doing in relation to the power that has been given to them to actually address this situation. In fact, I was actually on the TV with the 10 champion leader who has now become the CEO. We need to get some information, and we need to get this right. What is the authority doing about the 18 retention ponds that were supposed to be constructed in Accra? So if in 2022, they said the other general report said it is 0 out of the 18. Where are we now? Because Accra naturally is the lowest point of the receptor. So I'm not surprised that 1952 there was flood, but it depends on the extent of flood. You see, if you are talking about a small population and the water inundates a certain area, as for the report, it will be carried that there were floods in sections of Greater Accra or some areas within the capital. And so every year, like you are saying, maybe 40 years from now, the journalists there by there will also say that in 2025 we reported flooding. What happened after 2060? So I think that this morning I was on your sunrise, and I told the host that there has been an amendment to the LI 2465, that's the National Building Regulation, which we have to use as a Bible or a Quran. If we take that book very well, I'm sure that we can minimize, not even before NADMO comes in. If we respect nature, that law, that new act that has been passed in 2022, if we respect whatever is in that, or we even go 80% closer to compliance, I'm sure that would minimize a lot of this devastation. I gave a typical example this morning, and I would want your media house, because I know what you do, you're also very passionate about it. I would want people to move on the Abokobi police station, Ojarefa, Abokobi village road. It's about a kilometer from the police station. When I was constructing the Abokobi complex, the sports complex for Accra Lions in 2019-2022, when it rains, even with the higher vehicle, let's say SUV, pickup, or Land Cruiser, we had difficulty traversing a certain short distance along the village. Now, to my amazement, my driver called me about 2 months ago, and ironically, the river has been filled almost 60% in terms of the path. And factories and warehouses are sitting on the river along the Abokobi police station village space. And this water that is supposed to meander its way to Accra ordinarily would have taken about 2 days after the rains up there to get to Accra. But unfortunately, within 30 minutes, because you have constructed buildings, reducing the area of the river or the stream. Within 30 minutes, the water finds its way in Accra. But let me give your listeners the picture well. So Abukobi and Oyarifa Ayimensa water collects at the receptor area, runs along the Abukobi police station, it connects to Assorman, it connects to Agboba, Top Heba. There's a storm drain there, and this water comes all the way to Atomic. When it gets to Atomic, it moves towards Domi Pillar 2, and then goes around Christian Village to the new plant, to Abofu, then to Odon. So I want people who understand this to know that the devastation downstream, Adomi, Babinya area, Abofu area, is happening because the assembly, which is very close to the river, in fact, about a kilometer away from the river, have sat down and have allowed the construction to be constructed in the stream itself proper. But the law that has been passed in 2022, the clause 56 C says that in the event where a developer is supposed to carry out a structure and that place is liable to flooding, that developer ought to provide a flood control measure. So the assembly is supposed to see to it that it becomes necessary that the building is supposed to be constructed somewhere by all means, and this building is going to be injurious in terms of its situation, where it's situated, that the people around and downstream are going to suffer. That building owner or the developer is to provide alternative flood control measures. Is that what is happening? So NADMO will be affected. Government will put in all the measures. The MMDCs and the local assemblies are being instructed by the government that they should ensure that there's nothing like flooding or to minimize the flooding. At the same time, the same assembly is overlooking construction, which is going to create and put more pressure on the NADMO's scarcity resources to be able to relieve people of the disaster.
Engineer,
I want your media house. This one is a call. I want your media house to do that tomorrow and show picture why I am passionate about what I'm talking about. We cannot sit in this country and expect that once the water that we have received, the runoff becoming higher. Because the guy who was actually with me on your radio this morning said that there's a variation, not only the climate, it's a variation climate. In fact, in the 2023-2022, China received the highest flooding in over 140 years. 140 years that since they spent that kind of water. We are getting there. You see, the sea is increasing in terms of height because of the melting of the ice. So the sea is rising every year by 2 millimeters. So the retention or the time that the Odon is supposed to empty its water into the sea takes much time. So we are supposed to ensure that all the existing rivers and streams are adequately provided with a buffer so they can contain quite a quantity of water so it doesn't come to Accra like a flash flood. Is that what we are getting to? Nobody can tell me that if my driver will drive on the Abukobi Village police station stretch in a kilometer and he sees this and report me, the officials in that area are not aware that factories and warehouses are springing up like mushrooms in the river force. So no matter what we do in Accra, we can expand our drainage system, widen our storm drains in Accra. Unfortunately, the water that we'll be receiving in Accra will be about 3 times the design we have done.
It's a troubling situation, as we're saying. In fact, if you go on our Facebook page right now, we're showing you more videos of the flooding. And as we have a number of you contributing to the conversation right now. Engineer, I appreciate your time on this and then also the analysis of the situation we're faced with. And as NADMO, we have heard from them. They say they are assessing the extent of the impact. And so we would have to speak to them later to get a full-scale assessment of the level of devastation as a result of the rains yesterday, 5 hours from what we counted. Thank you so much, India, for your time.
Welcome.
Now, Dr. Charles Ni Ayiko is General Manager for External Communication at the Electricity Company of Ghana. He spoke to Beatrice Edu earlier today because the Electricity Company of Ghana is saying it is working around the clock to restore power to communities that were disconnected from the national grid following the flooding yesterday.
Heavy rainstorm yesterday, that's Sunday, the 18th of May, which caused quite, should I say, some flooding and some outages within our network. we had a request from NADMO that we isolate some areas because of the situation, and that includes Boteman Stadium, Affordable Housing, Boteman Township, Lakeside, Nanakro, Kisiman, Domi Plateau, Christian Village, School Junction, Melcombe area, Maijo, Zumla University, Sasako Third Gate, Ligon Hill, Santoy, Blue Kiosk, Adenta ECG office, and Medina Islamic University. So we are currently in touch with NADMO for their directives before we restore power fully.
But so far,
we hope to do so by the close of day today.
Okay, but so far, are there communities among these areas you mentioned that you've been able to restore power to?
Yeah, there are some communities very close to these areas which we restored power, and gradually, as soon as we receive any clearance from NADMO, we quickly move in to do so. Well, we've had some broken conductors on our network, but we've worked on them, and we are still working on other affected systems or equipment within our network. But that would not delay. Yes. I mean, from our assessments and our conversation with our engineers on the ground, as well as with our meetings and contacts with NADMO, we hope to, because we expect the water to recede in some few hours, and then work on our lines to restore power. But we also want to encourage our customers to contact the EC call center on 0302-611-611, or reach us through our social media handles if you observe that probably you've not received power after the restoration, or within your vicinity some do have and you don't. Please let us know, and then we would move in to assess the situation and then supply power.
So that's the ECG there. We're keeping an eye on how things are playing out, so stay with us. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we're showing you the extent of devastation as a result of the floods in a number of areas and communities as we speak. Now, from our earlier information that we got from the National Disaster Management Organization, they've confirmed that more than 3,000 people have been affected by severe flooding following a downpour at Odona Sahara in the Greater Accra region. According to the reports that we monitor, torrential rains that triggered severe flooding across parts of Accra on Sunday have left scores of residents displaced, with some homes and businesses submerged in this underwater. Now, the director of NADMO for the Kole Klote Municipal Assembly, Hendrik Noble Kina, attributed the scale of the flooding in parts of Accra to poor waste disposal practices and outlined measures to prevent future occurrences. He also confirmed that over 3,000 households have been affected by recent floods in Odona Sahara area following heavy rainfall that hit parts of the capital earlier this week. So that's information that we have as well on this. We'll keep an eye on how things are playing out here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5 in and beyond. The mayor of Accra, Michael Alote, has initiated a citywide operation to remove traders and street hawkers from pavement near roadways in the markets, citing public safety and traffic flow concerns, with a deadline for compliance set to end on Tuesday. Our reporter Safwa Boheng visited some markets across the city to speak with affected traders and engage customers on how the exercise is likely to impact their lives.
If you frequently commute through the market in Accra, you will be familiar with the difficulty navigating your way through the market due to the congestion caused by some market traders as well as street hawkers. Just about last week or some days ago, the Accra mayor, in the person of Michael Alote, spoke about the fact that they are embarking on an operation that is going to remove all market traders and street hawkers. We want to be finding out to know their thoughts about this and how prepared are they about this operation.
Now you try to get 2 cedi, extra ball 2 cedi.
We are all Ghanaians, but we pay 2 cedis for tickets, 2 cedis for trash, and about 70 cedis for license. The wealthy control the shops while we are left with the pavement. As single mothers, we will protest for our rights tomorrow.
Demonstration because they are single mothers. Am I a hard thing? Yes,
Women can be stubborn. If you give us an inch, we will take a mile. The road is for cars, not petty trading. So stay in your assigned area and pay your tickets. We have no markets, so we sell by the roadside. But I realize we sometimes block the road.
We are still on the conversation about the congestion and decongestion of our markets squares. I am standing right in the middle of Tudu, Accra Central, and it is very devastating to see the mess that has already been created behind me. Heap of trash almost getting to the middle of the road. Where are cars going to park?
As the junkies who take the trash and dump it at our place, by the time we reach the market, the damage is already done.
Customers who often engage these traders also shared their opinions. The area is congested, making it hard for cars and people to pass. They often react angrily when asked to move back for space.
Everywhere is crowded, but this is how our mothers and sisters support their children. We need a clean-up and urge authorities to implement plans and provide education as life in Ghana is tough. As a customer, if the cleanup moves these traders elsewhere, it will be hard for us to find them.
Okay, sentiments are high as these market traders are expressing their views, reactions and thoughts. Let's see what will really happen. Some are saying they would demonstrate against it tomorrow.
So that's Safo Abahim. They're speaking to some of the traders in the heart of the city. That's the central business district here in Accra. Gilbert Ankra is head of public affairs of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and is joining us on the telephone right now. Mr. Ankra, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's confirm this. Is this exercise going to take place tomorrow, as earlier announced, this decongestion?
Yes, I can assure you that tomorrow we're moving to ensure that the areas that are not designated for trading activity, just as the mayor has said, will declare, especially people selling on the street. If you look at it, I was listening to your conversations and it was quite clear that a lot more of them know that they are a bit recalcitrant because they move onto the street, define demarcated areas that have been assigned for them to embark on their efforts. So we're moving in tomorrow. Just as we said, these areas, we are targeting areas within the AMA zone, Kimbu to railways, the entire ECG to Takiteria area, Zongo Lane, Opera Square, and the exercise is going to be in 3 phases. So we are going to embark on the operations within a 3-day period to ensure that we clear these areas.
Well, I mean, these areas you've just mentioned forms the heart of the hustle and bustle of Accra, I mean, the central business district. So if you're going to decongest these areas, where are you going to take the traders you're going to clear off the road, I mean, the pavement and these other places? Where are you taking them?
Of course, that has been issues that Mayor Honorable Michael Safo has been pondering and trying to ensure that in as much as we move these traders, some areas are given to them to embark on their various trading activities. So if you look at the engagement Mayor had with them on Saturday, for instance, it was quite clear that the assembly was going to introduce a 24-hour operational model, and as part of that operational model, we are going to ensure that some specific streets and lanes within the metropolis on specific days will be demarcated and designated for trading activities, so that at least these traders will also have some their business still running. We're also going to ensure that in as much as we know they pay market stores, Mayor has said that he's coming in to reduce these market stores for them, so that at least it would also help in boosting their business. That notwithstanding, we are also looking at some of the pavements that are quite huge enough, and a lot of these pavements, we are going to redemarcate the pavement so that we'll be able to accommodate these traders who will be moved from the streets, especially.
And also on the bit about, so if I get the understanding, you haven't gotten the alternative place yet for the traders who are.
What I am saying is that alternative measures we are putting in place to ensure that we get them to still continue their business.
I see.
Areas with respect to the pavements will be demarcated for them. Aside
Right.
that, soon Mayor is looking at some specific days within
Okay, so
to demarcate those days for them.
I think that point was well made. What I want to understand is that it's not as though you are moving them to another location. You're going to demarcate the same pavement area for them to do their business.
Of course.
So what kind of decongestion are you going to do?
Of course, we have stated quite clearly that in as much as we have people selling on the pavement, now they have moved onto the street. They have moved onto the street, and on the street is a no-go area because of their safety and issues of urban mobility. So that forms the basis for this very exercise, to move especially those who are on the street to other trading areas for them to embark on their trading activities.
I see. So you are decongesting the streets, but the pavement will still be an area for the traders to sell.
Of course, areas will be demarcated for the traders they will be rearranged. Currently, you come and you see a trader or a hawker, and he has this entire area. You have a lot of wares as if it's a shop and all that. So we are looking at this demarcating these areas so that at least a lot more. If you are a hawker, I don't see the reason why, for instance, you are selling, let's say, a shoe, for you to display that same particular type of shoe you have displayed over 10 of them. It doesn't help with respect to space. So all these things will be looked at, and they will be redemarcated so that we have a lot more of them occupying these areas too.
I see, but there are others who also make the argument that these pavements are made specifically for pedestrians and commuters to walk there. And so you're now going to demarcate the pavements. You are legalizing an illegality or an irregularity. You're demarcating pavements for people to sell. I mean, how do you justify this?
Let me state that aside that particular intervention, there is a bigger picture where we are looking at expanding the market that we have to be able to accommodate a lot more of these traders. Mayor met the traders, their leadership on Tuesday, and the concerns were very clear. This very exercise, especially trading on the street, there are calls from stakeholders to embark on this very exercise. And one of the key issues that came up during the engagement was for Mayor to ensure that a lot more of the areas, the markets that we have that have not been redeveloped, we are looking at redeveloping these markets to be able to accommodate more. So that is also in the picture.
Zakra, appreciate your time. And tomorrow we will be on the streets to monitor how this goes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Gilbert Nyankra speaks for the Accra Metropolitan Assembly there. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in Y and beyond. Stay with us. We're back with the business news. Bismarck Ewusa is standing by after this quick break.
And Bill's Micro
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, Chamber of Telecommunications to prosecute individuals and construction companies responsible for damaging fiber optic cables belonging to telecom operators. I am Bismarck Kausa. These stories headline and other stories lined up for you. Please stay with me. Thanks for your company. Now to the very first story. The Chamber of Telecommunications is partnering with the Attorney General's Department to secure legal authority to prosecute individuals and construction companies responsible for damaging fiber optic cables belonging to telecom operators. According to Chief Executive of the Chamber, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, over 5,600 cases of fiber cuts were recorded in 2024, resulting in estimated losses of 138 million cedis to the telecommunications sector. He emphasizes that the collaboration aims to hold perpetrators accountable and mitigate the financial impact on the industry.
The minister has been pushing for a change in regulation to protect fiber. And unfortunately, he has asked for some review of legislation. And so what has happened is that the NTA's proposal that they've sent to the minister is to get the Electronic Communication Act, Act 755, Section 77 of it amended, so that if you are you damage telecommunication infrastructure, what then will happen is that you pay an administrative fine of 3 times the cost of repairs. And then if you fail to pay that administrative fine, you will be prosecuted. And if found liable, you would go to jail for 5 years, or you pay a fine of not more than 10,000 penalty units.
And that was Chief Executive of the Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. Moving on, the Bank of Ghana is likely to maintain its key policy rate at 28% when the Monetary Policy Committee meets from May 21 to 23, 2025. Analysts at Data Bank Research say any rate cut would depend on continued progress in disinflation and the broader economic outlook. The 3 Business report has the details. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana is expected to keep the policy rate unchanged at 28% when it meets this week. Data Bank Research projects that the central bank will adopt a cautious wait-and-see approach, assessing the impact of previous rate hikes before initiating any cuts. In March this year, the bank raised the benchmark policy rate by 100 basis points, citing the need to anchor inflation expectations. Data Bank now expects inflation to decline steadily, reaching between 17 to 19% by mid-year on account of stable prices and favorable base effects. This trend, if sustained, could pave the way for a measured policy easing of 100 to 200 basis points by July. Meanwhile, the central bank has rolled out new liquidity management tools, including a 273-day bill, and is reviewing the cash reserve ratio framework to improve monetary policy transmission. The MPC's rate decision will be officially announced after the 3-day meeting concludes on May 23. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on Data Bank Research predicting Bank of Ghana to maintain its key policy rate at 28%. Now, the management of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, says it has no intention of selling off any of its non-performing assets. The scheme came under scrutiny last year following reports that the previous administration had considered offloading some of its loss-making investments, particularly in the hospitality sector. Speaking to 3 Business on the sidelines of SNIT's new Spentex branch opening, the managing director, Kwesi Afrebaini, said the trust is now focused on revitalizing the struggling entities and turning their fortunes around.
Labadi Beach Hotel will continue to be one of the best in this country. We are in the process of renovating sections of Labadi Beach Hotel, and there will be a new investment in Labadi Beach Hotel to ensure that the number of rooms that Labadi has within the next 18 to 24 months would go up by at least an additional 50 rooms for Labadi. Now, we've looked at La Palm Royale, just next and close to Labad. That is an investment that sits on 34 acres of prime beachfront property. We would invite others to engage us in redeveloping La Palm to what it should be, because La Palm has great potential and is of great value. Our investments in the central region, Red Royale and Elmina Beach Resort would also be enhanced. So watch out for what we do in that space. And of course, then there is the investment in the western region as well. We are determined to turn around the non-performing assets to help grow our returns on investments.
So we get the sense that you have no plans of letting these assets go?
We have absolutely no plan of selling any of those investments in the hospitality industry.
And that was Managing Director of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Senate, Kwesi Afrebaini. Moving on, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has reaffirmed its commitment to expanding income tax payments to the informal sector, aiming to boost domestic revenue mobilization to 360 billion cedis by 2028. Manager of the Wager Taxpayers Services Center, Anthony Dakegbe, during a sensitization exercise, emphasized the importance of informal sector players filing their personal income tax returns annually. He stressed it enables GRA to accurately assess and collect the right amount of income tax.
We want to let the onion seller that when it comes to income tax, it's about the income that has accrued to you. We are taxing the income that has come into your hands. Whatever you receive into your hands as income, that is what we are taxing. So if you are onion seller, you go and buy the onion, let's say from Agubushi. Then you come and sell. You know your profit. That profit, let's assume, is the gross. You take your expenses. What is left, that is what we are taxing. So all those who are selling on table and the rest, we are all required as Ghanaians to actually pay our token towards the development of Mother Ghana.
And that was Manager of the Wager Taxpayer Services Center of the GRA, Anthony Dakagbe, ending the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Thanks for your company.
Get ready, Ghana. The road is calling and the wheels are spinning. It's the 3FM Tour du Ghana happening Saturday,
The sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and we'll be starting off from the Ghana Premier League, where news coming in from the University of Ghana, Accra Sports Stadium, it's the Nations FC clinched a 4-1 victory over Legon Cities at the stadium to propelling them to the top of the Ghana Premier League table with just 1 point ahead and 3 games remaining. The loss condemns Legon Cities to relegation. My colleague Mutala Yakubu was at the match and puts together this live report.
We complete match day 31 of the Ghana Premier League here at the University of Ghana Stadium. But it's sad news for Legon Cities and their fans, because today they officially go down to the Division 1, having lost 4-1 to Nations FC here in a match day 31. Now, Legon Cities have been flirting with relegation for some time. Last season, they did escape as they finished 15th. This time, things have not worked for them. And the club that metamorphosed from Wild All Stars to Legon Cities a few years ago brought in the likes of Asamoah Fatau Dauda, Jonah Atupe has been relegated today, and it's a sad one for them. For Nations FC, this result is important. It puts them on top of the Ghana Premier League as they head into the last 3 games. So now it is between Baby Gold Stars and Nations FC as they go head to head to see which team would win the Ghana Premier League.
Well, we still stay with the Ghana Premier League and head to the camp of Nations FC, because their head coach Kasim Mengo attributed his team's 4-1 win over Legon Cities to their impressive second half display. And so we'll try and get you that voice on Kasim Mengo just to see. I think we might have a bit of a technical issue on that as well. But however, Mengo kept on speaking ahead of his 3 games remaining, stating that his club are still focused on the league title. As things stand, if Nations FC win their remaining games, they will be crowned Ghana Premier League champions for the first time in their history. But to do that, they have to ensure that they win the last 3 games at home against Samatex, away at Holy Stars, and then back at home against Hearts of Lions. As things do stand, they have 57 points, just 1 point above Viviani Gold Stars, who are on 56 after 31 games played in the Ghana Premier League.
Where we've reached, we can go for the league title, but we need to up our game and concentrate, focus. Everybody should come to the party that your aim is going for the title. Everybody. So we talk a lot, and we say, okay, coach, we can do it. And that has pushed them to this time.
So that was head coach of Nations FC, Kasim Mengo. His side just beat Legon Cities by 4-1, condemning the Accra-based side to relegation. Let's do some women's football. And there was a big weekend, especially in Ghana when it comes to women's football, because history was made in the Women's FA Cup as Faith Ladies beat Jonina Ladies for the first time ever. In the Women's Premier League final, Police Ladies stunned Ampem Dakwa 2-0 to win their maiden title. My colleague Akosia J was at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium on Sunday and put together this report.
So the 2024-2025 Ghana Women's Football Festival was nothing short of historic, because for the first time in the history of Ghana women's football, neither Hazakes Ladies nor Ampem Dakwa Ladies won the trophy. Police Ladies came out tops by winning the Women's Premier League, the 2024-2025 edition. Faith Ladies won the FA Cup. And another historic event that happened at the stadium is the fact that Faith Ladies, who won the Women's FA Cup, have actually been relegated from the Women's Premier League. And also, for the very first time in a long while, neither Jonana Adakwa or Coach Yusuf Basigi were on the sidelines for the finals of any of the two games that took place at the Legon Sports Stadium. Then again, we look at the fact that the attendance at this particular Women's Football Festival was quite amazing. There were a huge number of people there, from the sports minister, the GFA president, ESCO members, members of the GFA, to the general public. People trooped into the stadium in their numbers to support their team, and you can tell that the progress of women football is actually getting into the football-loving fans of the country. But one amazing thing that also happened yesterday was the announcement that all the civilians who were in the police ladies team, who helped them win their first ever Women's Premier League title, will be enlisted into the police service. And then again, police ladies, as we know, will be representing Ghana in WAFU. What it means is if they are able to qualify from WAFU, they will be the team to represent Ghana in the CAF Women's Champions League. If they do so, they will be the third team to do that after Ampem Dakwa ladies and Hazakis ladies.
Well, after the double header of women's finals on Sunday, 3 Sports spoke with DCOP leader Ayako Donko, who revealed that all civilians in the police ladies team would now be enlisted into the police academy.
So the 2024...
We won the FA Cup about some 15 or so years ago. That's a very long time. And we haven't come this close. We've been to the FA Cup semi-finals last season, and I think the season before. But this time we have won the Southern Zone, and it means a lot for the police service. So the IGP himself was here, and for the girls, it's a big deal. Yeah, the enlistment is automatic. All those who are civilians in the team are automatically going to be police officers. That's the promise of the IGP. They deserve it.
Indeed, they do deserve it, and a massive congratulations to police ladies. To some news on the continent, where President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Ibrahim Musa Gusau, has been appointed as the new head of CAF West Zone B following the resignation of Ghana's Keto Kweku. Gusau, who has led the NFF since 2022, takes over the regional role with strong backing from member associations. His appointment is seen as a move to maintain continuity while injecting renewed energy into the affairs of the West African Football Union Zone B. Okreku stepped down after being elected unopposed onto the CAF Executive Council and subsequently named CAF's second vice president. Now let's cross over and move to England, where Liverpool is about to take on Brighton in the next 20 minutes or so in match day 37 in the Premier League. Having already secured the league title, the Reds aim to end the season on a high note. Amidst rumours of Trent Alexander-Arnold's potential exit this summer, reports suggest Jeremy Frimpong might join Liverpool. However, Anslot hasn't commented on potential signings, keeping silent on signings so far, emphasizing that Conor Bradley could fill Arnold's shoes.
It's going to be a boring answer. So for a whole season it was about contract extensions of 3 players, and now we're arriving in a time where everybody wants to know which players we're going to bring in, and the answer is going to be the same. We don't talk about the players we want to bring in public till the moment they've signed for us, and then you can ask me everything about them. What I can tell you is that we already have Conor Bradley, who can play really good in that position. Joe Gomez has played in that position multiple times. So it's not like when Trent is leaving, I have no clue what to do anymore. But as a club, we're always looking at interesting players that can strengthen our squad. But that's the general answer, not talking about an individual.
And so that was head coach of Liverpool and Slot. Before we go, let's do some tennis, where Carlos Alcaraz ended world number 1 Jannik Sinner's 26-match winning streak with a straight set 7-6, 7-5 win in the Italian Open final, playing in his first tournament since a 3-month doping ban. Was hoping to become the first Italian men's singles winner at the tournament since Adriano Panatta in 1976. But after edging a tense tiebreak, 4-time Grand Slam champion Alcaraz was a class above in the second set, winning 6 6-1. Now here's the Spaniard speaking after the historic triumph.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm really happy. You know, the way that I approached the match today. It's never easy playing against Yannick. He was playing a great tennis during the whole week. So when I'm facing him, it's all about tactic. It's about strategy. To start the match pretty well, and so it's gonna be a battle, and I think I did it pretty well. I didn't since the first point until the last point. I did it pretty well. You know, tactically, I maintained my good level during the whole match. So it was great. So I'm gonna say it was the best match tactically that I have ever played, or at least so far.
So that was Carlos Alcaraz bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Ore Kwampofo. In the meantime, if you're after some more sports stories, you can visit our social media handle at 3Sports. GH Hot Edition continues right after this.
Get ready, Ghana. The road is calling and the wheels are spinning. It's the 3FM Tour du Ghana happening Saturday, 7th June 2025. From the heart of Accra to the border town of Aplao, we are pedaling for the planet in a thrilling 192-kilometer ride across Ghana's scenic eastern corridor. Whether you're a seasoned cyclist or a passionate pedal pusher, this is your moment to shine. Form your team.
Also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Some more stories here on Hot Edition. The minority in Parliament is demanding the immediate publication of a load shedding timetable in the wake of the recent power outages. Ranking on the Energy Committee, George Kwame Abuaji, said the previous government prudently invested in the energy sector and has therefore charged the Mahama government to do same to prevent power crisis, which he says is rearing its head again. At a media briefing today, the minority called on the Minister for Energy and Green Transition to fix the energy issues and stop complaining.
It is imperative that the minister shift his focus from public pronouncement to tangible actions that will resolve the ongoing issue plaguing our power sector. It looks like our colleague, the Minister of Energy, seems more interested in making headlines than keeping the lights on. The minister's recent claim that Ghana has only 2.6 days of fuel left was not just baseless, but economically damaging. Such remarks create an atmosphere of uncertainty and instability, which is detrimental to investor confidence. The president campaigned on a 24-hour economy, his bold vision requiring uninterrupted power. But how can the private sector businesses, hospitals, agro-processing factories, pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, extractive industry, hospitality, educational institutions, tourism and entertainment industry operate around the clock when the lights keep going off? Is it 24-hour economy or 24-hour blackout?
Well, on that particular issue, the Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre also asked government to fix the problems.
The lights were on. You come 5 months
Within a month, the light is going on, off, on, and off. And you are just coming to tell us that Ghana Water hasn't paid. So what? You are in power. Fix it. Yeah. That is why the people of this country gave them the mandate. So if you're not paying car power as an independent power producer, and your light is going off, I need to come back and tell us, the citizens, what are we supposed to do? You are the one who is in power. The NDC government should show leadership by paying the independent power producers the debt that they have to pay. You're not paying the debt, and you are announcing to us as citizens, what can we do? And they will tell you, Mahama is the hope. It is a hope.
As Frank Anodo, more than 600 members of the Teachers and Education Workers Union will exit the education service through retirement this year. This is expected to impose a huge workload on members of TEWO in the education sector. Leadership of TEWO has issued a strong warning to government to recruit more staff or risk their anger. Here's the General Secretary of TEWO, King James Azoti, addressing a news conference earlier today on the issue. We'll bring that to you shortly here on Hot Edition. But the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana is appealing to government to find ways to facilitate the prompt posting of teachers after the completion of their training. The association at its 29th Annual Delegates Congress at the St. Francis College of Education in Hohoi said the delay in the posting of teachers is creating unnecessary anxiety and frustration amongst trainees and graduates. Razak Swale is the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana. He spoke at that event earlier.
The uncertainty in teacher postings. Unlike years past, trainees now complete their programs without clarity on permanent postings. This causes anxiety and financial hardship, especially in rural areas. Currently, the 2023 graduates from the Public College of Education are still not posted, despite completing their program, their mandatory national service, and writing their Ghana Teacher Licensure Examination that satisfy them to become professional teachers fit for the 21st century classroom. We call on the Ministry of Education, and I'm happy the Deputy Minister of Education is here in present with us, and the Ghana Education Service to streamline the teacher deployment process and ensure timely communication to all graduates.
You had the teacher trainees there speaking on this particular issue. Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister in charge of Education, Dr. Clement Apak, says the government is working to resolve the infrastructure challenges in colleges of education across the country to provide adequate accommodation for female trainees and those living with disabilities.
On infrastructure, we are working to expand facilities and accommodation at colleges of education, especially for female trainees and those with disabilities. We are also working to introduce stipends and support systems that will reduce the financial burdens on pre-service teachers, especially during your national practicum periods. We also intend to ensure the automatic posting and fair deployment of teachers based on data and equity. As we were reminded, we will do our best to ensure that we remove politics and favoritism from these activities.
As Dr. Clement Apak is Deputy Education Minister there, the Court of Appeal has dismissed an application by lawyers of defunct Men's Gold CEO Nanapia Mensah, also known as Nam1, to halt his case at the High Court. Nam1 filed a repeat application to halt proceedings after the High Court threw out the motion to suspend hearings pending the decision by the Court of Appeal on his application to overturn the ruling for him to open his defense. Nanapia Mensah is facing various charges, including defrauding by false pretenses, fraudulent breach of trust, and money laundering. Frederick Forsing, a spokesperson for the aggrieved Men's Gold customers.
Well, I think it's all well and good, and it's in the interest of justice. and that at the end of the day, it's been given the fair trial which is going on, and we are happy that now the court below can proceed with the trial.